What's on, where and when. It's the Talk of Nelson. Talk Nelson Radio. The Mako Rugby Roundup.
Welcome to the Mako Rugby Roundup, episode 15, and it's great to welcome back Les Edwards and Sean Davis, and got the warm weather gear on this week, guys.
Rugged up this week, eh?
Gee, she's pretty chilly.
Yeah, thank goodness for Mako jackets and hoodies, to keep warm with our two teams playing on Friday night.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's our great pleasure to welcome to the show Janelle Strickland, who is the Black Ferns manager. Hey, fantastic to have you here, Janelle.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You got a nice warm coat there.
Yeah, all rugged up. It's pretty chilly this morning.
On this week's show, we're going to be talking First 15 rugby, and it's finals time. We've got senior club rugby with the Division 2 final, and also Seddon Shield rugby, the Farah Palmer Cup. And of course, it's the first round of the NPC. We talk championship rugby, and also we catch up with Janelle about her time in rugby and being manager of the Black Ferns. But first of all, it's First 15 rugby, and Les, how are things looking?
Oh, I'm just so pleased. We've got three of our colleges in the finals.
Yes.
So well done to the region. In the championship plate final, Waimea combined are away to St Andrews, to St Bede's. In the premiership plate semi-final, Marlborough Boys College are going away to St Andrews College. And then in the big game, the grand final, Nelson College hosting Christchurch Boys High School on the front field here at Nelson.
Okay, so that's 12 noon on Saturday, is that right?
Yep, that's right.
Wow, that's going to be a huge occasion, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd imagine the crowd will be enormous.
Yeah.
The blue and white balloons will be out. Those horrid bells and whistles will be blowing. But a perfect pitch for a final, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Division 2, and it's the Nelson Bays final this weekend, and Stoke versus Rewalker. How are things looking, mate? What are your thoughts on that one?
I think these were the two teams we sort of pinpointed would end up in the final. With Stoke being pretty strong all year, I'd like to think they could probably go on with it and round off what's been a pretty good season for them. Yeah.
Okay.
This is a replay of last year's final, and the watch out for Stoke is the way that Rewalker can come running back at you once they get behind. They tend to throw caution to the wind and really play expansive rugby. So that's the watch out for Stoke. Just
rightio.
Keep the defence up.
And Janelle, I know you like to relax and go to the bush, go camping, get away from rugby in between, but are you going to pick one here?
Oh, yeah. I'll probably go with Stoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think on their home batch.
Yeah, definitely. Green Meadows will be absolutely charging for them. So,
well,
Stoke.
It'd be a big crowd there, wouldn't it? Seddon Shield round 2 in Murchison, Les.
Yeah, so popped in there on last weekend. Nelson Bays challenged West Coast for the Shield and won it. So they're defending that this week against Buller. That's at 2:30 p.m. In Murch, and the curtain raiser West Coast playing Marlborough.
Rightio, good stuff. Farah Palmer Cup, and boy, oh boy, what a comeback. I remember looking at the halftime score, and it was like 21. I can't even remember if there was a score for the Mako, and then all of a sudden I saw the final score, because I was wondering what the halftime chat was going to be about, because I guess the expectation was that they were going to win against North Harbour. That's what they thought. I'm sure it was going to be, but geez, what a second half that was.
Yeah, got it done. I think it'll and it should do a lot for the ladies, because as we know, they just slipped to Otago the week before.
Yeah,
and probably had potential to win that game as well. So getting it done will mean a lot to them, and I think it shows good signs for the season coming.
One would wonder what was said at half time.
Well, I can tell you, I asked Mel Bosman what was said, thinking that maybe there were harsh words. She said no, just talked about the legacy of the jersey and building that, and obviously doing it for Billy Guyton. So those words really rung home, and they scored 26 unanswered points in the second half. So they were
just not doing quite a few things right, and what, second half they bit more concentration on the basics, or
got the forwards going forward, and some really enterprising play by the backs. That young Kahurangi centre, Sarah Jones, came on at fullback early, and set the game alight. So yeah, just really pleased that they can go into this game on Friday against Taranaki with a win under their belt.
And Janelle, have you had a chance to keep the odd eye on the FPC team, or do you really just go bush when you come back home?
I really do go bush, but I
yeah.
have kept an eye on what's happening with Wharapama Cup, and I thought that was pretty cool to see them have that close game against Otago and then pull out the win against North Harbour, and really awesome to hear the halftime talk, because I think a lot of coaches come in and want to tell all the different plays that players need to go through to win a game, but to hear a coach come in and talk about the emotional side to pick a team up is really quite awesome and quite critical in the women's game.
Yeah, right. Good stuff. Well, they've got Taranaki this weekend, so Friday 5:05. What are your thoughts here?
Oh, yeah, they should win this.
I think they get another win. Yep. I mean, travelling away might make it a little bit more difficult, but yeah, I've full belief they can get it done again. Yeah, for sure.
New Plymouth, a beautiful town. I'd never really been to New Plymouth before, and I went there over the summer holidays, and I thought, wow, what a beautiful place this is. So nice place to play rugby.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I've been there a few times, and once for a Ranfurly Shield Challenge, and you were on that tour. Managing the Mako. So, it's a great little town.
Okay, so we're picking another win away. Good luck to the girls. The Bunnings Warehouse NPC round 1. It's finally here after a big build-up, and it's Friday night, 5:05. The Mako taking on Otago at Trafalgar Park. So, Janelle, you used to manage the side, and what are your thoughts on how the team's looking for this year?
Oh, I mean, it looks like a pretty impressive squad, to be honest. And I think that they've got the capability of having a really strong season. So I'm really excited to see how they start against Otago.
Yeah. Otago sort of, towards the end of the season, last season, they were traveling quite well, weren't they? I mean, they've sort of slipped a bit in recent years, but they showed, what Otago rugby is all about. So it's not going to be an easy match, is it?
No, not at all. They'll be middle of the table. Or were middle of the table, and they'll be challenging for a playoff.
Yeah, for sure. I think the Otago guys will definitely want to come up here and make a bit of a statement straight off the bat, for sure. So, the Mako squad looks pretty impressive though. So
it does.
Name the team,
solid team.
We've seen the team, and wow, David Harvilli at number 12 with Levi Amur in the midfield, really strong forward.
Yeah, that's right.
Lots to love about the
Tom Marshall at fullback, so good to see him back, isn't it? And he gets to play and get his jersey.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, instead of having to wear the mascot.
Should be a good session down there on Friday night for sure.
Yeah. Number one fan Ken Butler was on Talkback last night, pumping up News Talk ZB about the game and naming all the players. He said, "Do you know what's happening tomorrow night? Do you know who's going to be playing?" And he's saying, "I think it's going to be our year. We're going to take this." So he was really pumping it up on Talkback Radio last night. So good on you, Ken. All right, it's going to be a big night, so make sure you get out and support the team. Bledisloe Cup and a return match, Australia versus New Zealand in Dunedin. It's going to be a bit chilly, although they have a roof over their head down there.
And an afternoon game. Funny that.
Yeah, it is
under a roof.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah, great start by Australia. I thought the first part of the first half and the first part of the second half really showed probably what Australia can do. And, I thought, here we go. We've been quite confident going into this. MCG, we've slipped up there before. And when Australia get a roll on, it's pretty hard to beat them. But the All Blacks weathered it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like you say, Australia showed a few glimpses of what they probably hoped to put together towards the World Cup.
Yeah.
But, great performance, I think, from the All Blacks again. They just really...
It wasn't, it was quite a frustrating game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
At times, but they showed grit, and then they just started to slowly build instead of their usual fast starts that they've had.
Yeah, well, like you say, in the start of that second half, we were under the pump for 10, 15 minutes just defending, and then first crack at them down the other end, and it sort of broke the camel's back, if you like, and away they went from there.
Yeah, that's what impressed me, the patience shown in those 2 periods at the beginning of each half, staying to the hard work. If it got a turnover ball or a penalty against, it's getting back, resetting, being patient, building the pressure, and then finally the Aussies cracked, and 38-7 is a really good win in a Bledisloe Cup.
Yeah,
big game from Scott Barrett.
massive game. Yeah, and your pick at halfback, Roygan, is that the
Roygard?
Roygard, that's right. Yes, very impressed with him when he came on.
Yeah,
fantastic sharp pass. I thought.
Day.
Yeah,
he'll go well, I think.
Yeah. Okay, thoughts for this weekend, Janelle? Are you going to pick it, or do you think Eddie Jones can rev them up in Dunedin?
No.
No,
well done,
not a chance.
Well done, Nelly. Correct answer.
Nice and simple.
All right, are we?
No, I think
all in favour
I
of
think the result will
black?
I think it'll be similar again. Yeah, similar kind of margin and probably a similar game plan. Weather the storm and then kick away on them in the end. Yeah,
they're talking many changes. Could be up to 13. The West Res Jordan will play 15, which is exciting to finally see him in that.
Been hanging out for that.
But yeah, they'll have two good locks, good front row, patience, build the pressure, win the game.
Yeah, because he might be willing to try a few things this time, Foster, won't he?
With his selections,
yeah, that's right. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting, and just love Eddie Jones, the way he talks it up.
Yeah, maybe 2 or 3 new test caps.
Yeah. All righty, you're with the Mako Rugby Roundup, and it's our great pleasure to welcome to the show Janelle Strickland, who's the current Black Ferns team manager, and you're a former Tasman Mako men's team manager. You've managed the Black Ferns Sevens team, and since this year, of course, hopping into the role of Black Ferns manager. We just keep on being impressed by the amount of people in our region that are involved in the high levels of New Zealand rugby, and not many people are aware that the manager of our world champion Black Ferns lives right here in Nelson. You've recently returned from Brisbane and Ottawa, where the Black Ferns contested the Pacific 4 series with Australia, Canada and USA, and that on the whole went pretty well. How was the introduction into the life of New Zealand's top team management?
Like fast and furious, really, because I suppose I've only just got through to maybe my 4th month in the role, and then in that have had a couple of camps and a tour away. So, yeah, kind of chucking in the deep end, but drawing on a bit of the experience that I've had in the past. But, it's a different team, a different group of players. So it was, just trying to establish kind of where I fit in that, and then also relearning everything again and getting ready for a tour. But yeah, it was awesome. Really loved being back. I think for me, it was just really sealing the whole concept that this is something that I love doing. So yeah, it was awesome to be back in the environment.
So how did the role come about? Who was doing it before, and then when did you get the phone call? What was that process?
Yeah, so the person that was doing the role before me is Lauren Cornane, otherwise known as Lozzie. She's actually still in the environment, which is really awesome for me. So she had been doing the role for about 8 years, and obviously at the end of World Cup had decided that she was ready to spend some more time with her family, and they'd moved regionally to Hastings. But she has carried on in a support role for high performance women, and so she still helps out behind the scenes, which is great for me because I can pick her brains.
Yes,
and awesome support for the whole management team. And with the role, I suppose I read, like everyone else, that Alan Bunting got the role of Director of Rugby, appointed to that role, which was really exciting. Incredible coach. And then I, not long after that appointment, I got a phone call from Bunce asking me to apply for the team manager's role.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it doesn't get better than that to get a shoulder tap to apply for the role, but I, like everyone else, still had to put in the application and go through the interview process. And yeah, managed to get it. So I'm very excited to be back working with Bunce.
So apart from obviously touring, if you're playing at home, how do you go managing presumably from home in Nelson. Is that right? Is that how it works?
Yeah. So, like assembling with the team whenever we have camps or test weeks, whether that's home or overseas. But the rest of the time I'm based in Nelson. I can sit in front of my computer and do all the same work that I'd be able to do if I was sitting there anywhere else in New Zealand. And I think that's the beauty of our two big national teams. They don't have a centralised base. So people can be based at home where their heart is and do all the mahi at home. So,
nice.
Yeah, well, that's got to be lovely for your lifestyle.
It is.
Here in sunny Nelson. So now you're sitting at home, you're planning the Laurie O'Reilly Cup match against Australia in September. And then there's this big new concept called WXV in October. So could you tell us what that is about, where it's going to be played, and how many games the Black Ferns will be playing?
Yeah, it's this really awesome concept from World Rugby to have more tests for women's, the national women's teams. So all of the women's teams throughout the world have been broken up into 3 tiers, and we've all had to obviously qualify for that. That's what the Pac 4 was for us. And so we've made it into the top tier. So that's the top 6 teams that have qualified. So we've got them all coming to New Zealand to play in October, which is awesome.
Who have you got coming?
We have got our fellow Pac 4 teams. We've got Canada and Australia. And then we've also got Wales, France and England. So some really impressive teams coming over to play. So top women's rugby players coming.
And where are those games being played?
So we'll play in Wellington, Dunedin and Auckland. So all 6 teams, so all 3 games will be in Wellington, and there'll be 3 games Dunedin, 3 games Auckland. So yeah, it's really exciting.
Nice. Going back on time a wee bit to 2009, mate, and you're appointed as the first female team manager for the NPC, for the Tasman Mako.
Yeah.
How did that role come about?
I think, like, for me, it's always been, rugby's always been a passion of mine ever since I was a little kid. But I knew quite quickly that I wasn't going to be a player. So, and I've got a skill set in organising and logistics. So team management was quite interesting to me, but I joined Tasman originally as the professional development manager. So I was doing that role part-time, and that's a role that helps players with their goals outside of rugby. But while I was doing that role, the team manager at the time didn't have exceptional computer skills, so he paid me under the table to do all of his computer work. Which was a great little side hustle for me, but also gave me great insight into how that role works. Nice. And really kind of sparked the flame for me that this is what I wanted to do. So the following year, he had stepped down and I interviewed for the role, and I don't know, went out on a limb and had a go with me as the team manager, and that's where it all started.
Nice. One of the earlier coaches you would have worked with would be KK.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people, and I'm not quoting anyone here, but a lot of people may perceive him as a bit of a cranky kind of guy. How was your relationship with him?
Yeah, he definitely comes across that way, I think, for a lot of people. But in my first year, probably it was challenging because he was a co-coach, so he probably for me was a little bit of a cranky kind of guy, but as our relationship grew, he's such an amazing coach, and he's so awesome to work with, and just really trusted me to do my role, which gave me so much confidence. So by the end of the time that I was with Tasman, it was actually really hard to leave him. And he's nice. He's an awesome person.
Yeah. And we get that feedback a lot, don't we? That on the exterior side, KK cranky, and on the inside, just a really good human who loves people, and people love him back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, different style to some of the other coaches, but once he's on your side, he is absolutely on your side. Yeah.
And what's the sort of dynamic between manager and player sort of role across the individual teams? Is it fairly consistent, or depending on the players?
I think it depends on the culture of the team. I've been really lucky that I've managed to somehow find myself in teams that have really exceptional cultures. So whilst I was a female in the team manager's role with Tasman, I had a really amazing bunch of rugby players to work with, and they really embraced me in that role because I was new as well at being a team manager at that point. So I was growing throughout the years into that role, but they really supported me. They challenged me as well to become a better team manager. And that's no different to when I've been in the Sevens or now in the Black Ferns. Like, they're very supportive, but they also challenge me to be better at my job, which is amazing. Yeah.
Any players or people that you've been involved with that made life pretty interesting, either good or bad?
Yeah, I think the most memorable ones are those ones that I like I said, that challenged me and have actually made me be a better person and a better team manager for it. And even though in the situation I probably was getting completely frustrated with them, but I think with Tasman, a standout for me is Joe Wheeler. That guy is just, he comes in with a lot of heart and some incredible ideas. Yeah. And as a team manager, sometimes you're like tearing your hair out because you're like, I don't know how we're going to do that. And that would probably frustrate him too, but he always found a way. But it was always good for me because it made me think outside the square, and sometimes in the moment probably felt it, like I said, incredibly challenging and frustrating, but I look back on that and he actually made me better at my job because of that. And there's plenty of players that did that within that environment. And then probably a very similar character is Ruby Tui in the Sevens. Again, she challenged me and made me think about things in a different way, which was really cool, but then had really supportive and strong relationships with other players as well in a different way. But I really loved those ones that challenged me because it made me better at my job. Yeah.
That's great, isn't it? It's just fantastic that they help you and you help them. So 2013, your final year as Mako manager, and it culminated with a championship on Trafalgar Park against Hawke's Bay, and promotion to the premiership. So that was pretty awesome. In terms of that, 2009, 2010, 2011, tough years, and then victory in 2013. So did you sense a shift in team attitude and team ambition over those 5 seasons?
Yeah, I think we always had really amazing players within our environment, but I think the belief in themselves definitely changed, and the culture was always a very encouraging and supportive one, but it just felt like that expanded more and more as they had more and more belief in what they could achieve. And as they started to win games against significant teams, I think that just grew and grew. And so by the time you got to that 2013 year in that championship final, that was an intense game, but you kind of knew that they had it as well because of the way that their attitude, and it wasn't in an arrogant way, it was just that belief that they could get this done. So yeah, it was pretty cool to go from that kind of low up to an incredible high.
Yeah, and an incredible skipper too, and Shane Christie, who kept driving that side forward, and the crowd at the end of the final conversion by Hawke's Bay missing a fantastic response from our home crowd. For you personally, a lot of elation to finally lift a trophy?
Yeah. I mean, I think just absolute pride because we had the belief that they could do it as well, and we'd had I suppose a few moments where we'd wanted to be able to prove that, like that Ranfurly Shield match, where I clearly remember walking into the sheds after that game and bursting into tears as an emotional female because I knew that they could have had that game and really wanted it for them. So then to come out 2013 with that championship was just incredible pride that they had managed to do that.
Nice, yeah. And then 2014, you move on to team manager for Black Fern Seven side. That must have been pretty amazing traveling the world with that bunch of people and winning a few titles there as well.
Yeah, that was, yeah. I mean, you just never imagine that you're going to get to do something like that in rugby, and to travel the world and get to go to tournaments like the Commonwealth Games and the Olympics is like, as a sports lover, that's like dreams coming true kind of thing. And you're really pinching yourself, but to do it with an incredible group of people, not just the players, but the management as well. That was certainly a time of my life that I'll always remember.
Yeah, nice. The players look like they really love playing, obviously. And do you think it's a big part of the culture and the coach's philosophy, and from a management sort of level, that inspires that?
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody wants to love what they do, and I think if you've got bring that joy into the everyday of your job, it just makes it a lot easier to put in the hard work to then be able to pull out those performances on the field. But yeah, absolutely, that sevens group, and I'm seeing it again in the 15s. They love what they do. They like to have fun. They like to sing, and they like to have a laugh. And I think that motivates them every day and makes them a stronger group by doing so. So, and definitely with the management, they try to encourage that. I think you'll see with Alan Bunting, he's very much one of those coaches that does step back and lets the players kind of lead in that space. But he is always encouraging that joy within the environment.
After your time with the Sevens, you had a bit of a break because you did a little bit of work with NRDA locally. So what was that time period for you like? Because you mentioned before that you kind of figured out what you really loved to do. So was that a little bit of a time in your life when you were thinking, well, what am I going to do?
Yeah, I left the Sevens environment, not because I didn't enjoy the job anymore, but they were centralising to Tauranga, and I was at probably just a point in my life personally where I felt I needed to spend more time at home, not less time, and that's what would have happened if I had also centralised. And I mean, we were looking at ways of making it work for me, but I really felt that within that time period for those players, they needed a manager that would always be there for them, because you needed to be there for those moments where they just wanted to pop in and have a chat. So yeah, didn't leave because I didn't love it anymore. I knew that was a job that I enjoyed, but I suppose what leaving gave me was the opportunity to remove myself from an environment and reflect on what it was like and what I enjoyed about it. And I really did find, even though I had incredible jobs and incredible opportunities to reconnect with my community, I felt a little bit rudderless because I didn't have that joy there. Like, I had great jobs and they were fun to do and I had cool people around me, but the joy aspect of it wasn't there. And I think that's what I realized when I came back to management, that I really love doing this job, and the joy that came back into my life because of it was incredible. So yeah,
now you're at the desk again. So
I am,
yeah, which is fantastic. So after the last World Cup win in 2022, Wayne Smith commented that along the lines that males must win to enjoy the game, where his female players have to have fun and enjoy the game to win. Is that his perspective, or is that what you find? He just said they enjoy the game more.
I definitely agree with Smithy around that. Like, the women really do enjoy what they do, and that's a critical factor for them to be able to win. Don't get me wrong, they are high performance athletes and they love winning. But yeah, I think to create that environment where they are happy and they are laughing and they are singing is what will make them win out on the field. Yeah,
because he mentioned in the change rooms the comparison where the women prior to a game would be singing and dancing and the guys are just sitting in the corner all tense, po-faced and but I think I think as much as what Wayne Smith brought to that team, I think he got a lot out of that too. A lot of joy.
It resurrected his love of the game, didn't it?
Yeah.
He and Graham Henry both went, wow, this is insanely good.
Yeah.
We saw a glimpse of it too here in Nelson when the Black Ferns came here to play a couple of games against the Barbarians team. And just the way they warm up there's a lot of fun going on. that you don't see in a men's game.
I think that's what also brought that vibrancy to the World Cup last year, and what made everyone probably fall in love with them a lot is because you actually got to see that as well.
Really right. Getting the crowd to sing along with.
So, after the big high of the World Cup, it's a new coaching group and some existing players, but some stars have left the team as well. Some very bright new stars coming into play. So what's that journey like for you guys, and what can you see for the future? Are you excited for the future for this squad?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm still in that process. Like I say, I've only been in the role for about 4 months of actually getting to know the team. But the management team, we've all quickly got to know each other, and it's a great bunch of people, and we have a lot of fun together as well. But the players, man, there's some intelligent women in that team, and the talent that is coming through is exceptional, and they've got some really good coaches that are going to just bring the best out of them. So I think 2025 is going to be pretty exciting for the next World Cup.
New, very young captain, a star of the World Cup, but what is she, 21?
Oh, Maya, the USA game. Yeah. So, that's really exciting to see the future leaders coming through and having those opportunities. So, a wonderful, wonderful person, Maya. Like, I don't know if anyone else notices how much she smiles, but it never seems to disappear off her face. So,
Well, it's very exciting. They look a fantastic team to me.
Yeah. The Farah Cup is important to your coaching group?
Oh, hugely. Yep. Yeah. I mean, we can't just always rely on the same players to be there forever. So the talent that comes through is incredibly important for this team to grow. And it's exciting to see some of the talent that is coming through. So
it's great one day to see a Mako.
Say that.
Yes.
Is that kind of one of your roles of the coaching group? Say, look, you do live locally. Could you pop down and see this player, or do you give them any feedback on that, or do you stay well out of that?
I stay well out of that. It's definitely not my area of expertise. No. Just like they don't probably come in and organise the flights for me. But no, I mean it is important for us, and they are looking at the FPC very, very closely. So I wouldn't be surprised if next year or even sooner than that we'll see some of them come into camp with us.
That'd be exciting. Yeah. Remember the with the Mako team, Les, might be one on the cusp of the All Blacks, and all of a sudden you got 8 All Blacks, So wouldn't that be fantastic to see that happen locally? Yeah. Hey, Janelle, fantastic to have you in. As Les pointed out, it's just amazing to us, having the caliber in the local region that are performing at that very top level, and it's just been an absolute pleasure to get an insight into your experience in the game, and also at the helm managing the Black Ferns. It's really incredible to hear that story, so really appreciate you coming in.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been good.
Thank you, lads. And what's on the agenda for this weekend?
Mate, I'm excited about this weekend. Rugby's back in Nelson. We've got the Mako game Friday, so we're meeting at the pub here from about 4:00 just to get warmed up.
Oh, really?
And then we take part in what we call the walking bus. So we leave here at pre-kickoff, and we'll walk and occupy one corner of Trafalgar Park. So there'll be plenty of us in the bottom corner making some noise for that game.
Yeah, right.
Then we're back here after that for the Warriors. That'll be another big evening. And then of course Saturday afternoon, All Blacks rugby, first 15 up at the college at midday, and then back down here for the All Blacks from 2:30, I think, kick off.
2:30.
And just excited.
Big weekend.
It's not often it all lines up nicely like that. Quite often you're either picking one or the other, but it just seems to be a bit of a pattern this weekend.
So if you want to hop on the bus, come down to O'Shedigan's on Bridge Street.
Meet us here, mate. Yep. We'll all go down together, and the bus is just our way of making sure everyone gets to the game safely.
Yeah, good stuff. And thanks to our
all roped together, eh?
Yeah, all tied together and walking.
Thanks to our venue sponsor, O'Shedigan's on Bridge Street. And Les, you'll be hopping on that bus, I presume.
Oh, I will definitely be at the Mako game. But all of those things, I want to see them. I want to go and see the first 15 final.
Yeah.
I want to watch the rugby test. I want to catch up with how the women go. awesome weekend of rugby.
It's just it's Les's dream.
Yeah,
It's heaven.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. And thank you to our listeners. And we'll speak to you again next week.
The Mako Rugby Roundup. What's on, where, and when? It's the Talk of Nelson. Talk Nelson Radio.